Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, your paranormal portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together. What is happening? I like that riff too. I really do. Thank you guys so much. I'm wondering if when you watch that, watch the very beginning. Watch all the little critters that come out of the tree or disappear into like little portals, and all these cute little hairy little cryptid monsters and all these ghosts dancing around the fire, and we've got Glimmer Man in the background there, and it's just, I just really love it. It took me hours to make that thing, to add all these little guys and everything. But welcome. Hello, all you wonderful people. There's a lot of bacon slinging and heart slinging and hellos and, virtual hugs being thrown out here. All my wonderful, beautiful people in this chat. I see Ted. Welcome in, Ted. AJK, hello, love. Vixen, Maraid, are you kidding me? Hello, honey. Donnie Cho did so good last night. Hello, Donnie. How are you? Boy, that was a humdinger, wasn't it? Last night, if you were with us last night, we're so appreciative that you are here again tonight. We thank you, but man, my head is still reeling from that, right, Aunt Edna? Hey, Chris. Hey, Sasha Bell. Welcome in, Ann Palmer. Look at all these beautiful, beautiful people. Well, I'll tell you what. Hey, Lindsay. Hi, love. And if I didn't say hi to you, Linda Lee, hello, darling. And I will catch the rest of you as we get our guests in here. And I believe our wonderful guests are wonderful star of the Zombie Steve, and we do have some little something to show you on that too, that we finally got a good t-shirt and a mug with Zombie Steve on it. But I think he is live on location, and I believe we have a surprise guest that's coming with him. Let's see what we got here. Come on in here, you old rattlesnake. Hey! Hi, sweetie!
Got my cook and bone washer here with me.
How you doing? Welcome in, Sandy. I think this is the first time you've officially come in, isn't it?
No, I've been on here.
You've popped in and out, have you?
It's been only a couple times. It's been a while.
It's been a
long time.
Talking about what we're talking about tonight.
Oh, yes. Wonderful. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you guys go ahead and take the stage for a minute and tell us what you're doing?
That's his job.
Yeah. Go ahead, honey.
She helps. She put me up to.
Where's your melons at?
Do you have that?
Inside joke, picture? Guys.
Put that up there. That was taken for Donnie Cho. You have it. I sent it to you. See if you can put that up.
Let's see. I'll look for it while you tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, of course, Sandy. She's my head writer over 13 Past Midnight.
Right.
Something else I'd rather have put words in my mouth. She's written something lately that just
wonderful writer.
I had an idea. We always do people that disappeared. Let's do people that appeared out of nowhere. I just tossed the idea to her. She wrote the script, and it blew up. Like had over 400,000 views in less than a month. and we've done a part 2 of that. It's proven just as popular. So anyway, we got a lot of good stuff going on over there. We're retooling 13 past midnight. Going to bring that in. Just past 9,000 subscribers, and we've
Woo!
done we went live like once in the last month,
Uh-huh.
uh, twice.
That last one you guys did, though, when you were at Mount Shasta, that thing blew up in like 25 minutes. I mean, it was amazing how fast, you know?
Was it Mount Shasta or Mount Rainier?
I'm not sure.
He did. He
It was a
did. He did
mountain.
one at both. He did one at both. Remember?
Oh, yeah, no, I
He
did.
The
He did
one
one.
in the buffalo plaid and the hat where you were
Yeah.
sitting, that
Yeah,
one. Did just
that,
I
that was
watched
Mount
it in real
Rainier.
time.
Sandy was running the camera. She was my
It's
stand-in.
fantastic.
The shot framed like I wanted. And
Yeah.
what you couldn't hear in that, I had to relook my voice. Her Mustang was running in the background. That was what it sounded like.
Right,
So
right.
it looks a little bit like one of Donnie Cho's kung fu comedies there. You know why. But hey,
All
Murray,
these wonderful hellos I'm throwing up here for you guys as you're talking. Everybody is waving and giving you hugs and throwing bacon at you. You better catch it.
and Edna, Sandy's got you another turtle.
I do.
And
Oh, wow.
other people we owe some gifts to. They're coming, and we've got a book here that we're going to give away. It's on the bottom there. Next time on around 13 past midnight, we've been doing the missing murdered indigenous women. We got a book that we're going to give away. I had
Oh,
a
very
book.
cool.
And,
Oh, that's beautiful. Look at the cover. Who did the cover? That is gorgeous.
Probably in the plat.
Oh yeah.
But I did a little signing at King Books in Olympia or Tacoma. That was Olympia, wasn't it? No, Tacoma.
The bookstore?
Yeah, Tacoma.
Yeah. Yes, it was Tacoma.
There's a
It was, Lindsay.
King's Books, 218 St. Helens Avenue, Tacoma, Washington. I need to answer a call real quick. It's about the
Go ahead.
in her white spot.
Go ahead, honey. Go ahead. Go ahead. Do what you got to do.
Tell them all about it.
Yeah.
A bit. So what are you guys up to now? You getting footage and you doing research, a little bit of everything. What are you doing?
So right now we're in Washington gathering some research for the new direction we're taking 13 past midnight. We
Right.
had a little meeting about that and decided what we were going to do with it. So that's the project that I was working on with the missing and murdered indigenous. We're
Yes.
going to just shelve that for just a little while,
Okay.
and get 13 going on its new path. And then we're going to try to bring kind of everything together.
Yeah.
So
That sounds great.
we've
Now,
had.
are you doing a convention right now? Are you doing like is this
No,
like a,
this is just us kind of meeting up and getting things worked
Okay.
out so that I'm not in New Mexico and he's not in Oregon, and we're trying to make it work, and we're not across from each other, bouncing the ideas off of each other. Like,
Right.
no, that's not going to work. Yes, that's going to work. I mean, you know
Yeah.
how hard it is. to
I
run
do.
a channel, so.
I do. And it's so hard. I mean, even just to do like these little things, and I tell my chat all the time, it's like my system is not set up to where like a lot of people can share, like say YouTube, and let's watch a clip of this video and play it live. They're not going to hear it. The sound's
Right.
not going to work for them, and so I have to do it this other way. I have to, go the back door to to bring something to enhance the story or the subject that we're doing. But I absolutely love being Cherokee and Lenny Lenape. A little bit of Scotch, like my daddy, just a little bit of Scotch. But I have been aware of this issue for a very, very long time. There is also, I thought about you guys, and I'd like to tell everybody in the chat, there is a great show right now. Lot of actual Native American actors in it. It takes place on a 27,000 acre reservation. It's the largest reservation, the Navajo reservation. Is called Dark Winds, and it is actually touching on the subject you guys are. And it was done, I think the executive producer is Robert Redford, and if you look back and like in the early 70s, right around when he was doing Sting and The Great Gatsby and all that stuff, he was really getting a chance in some of the movies. I believe it was in Butch Cassidy and Sundance where they were filming. He was starting to meet a lot of indigenous people there and learning of their story and their struggle. And just the sheer, everybody was just put out there in barren land and where nothing will grow and no plumbing and well water and just horrible. We could go on and on and on. Asbestos and you name it.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
And the whole federal reservation thing, they really focus on this. I don't know if you guys have gotten a chance to see it. I don't know how it's running. I believe it's on FX, but look it up. It's called Dark Winds. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm in like 4 episodes of it. Highly recommend it. Yeah. And I don't know where you can find it, Vixen. I've got one of those flickety sticks or whatever you call it. I don't know. There's like 9 remotes on that table, and I don't know how to get the thing started, but sometimes you can pull up movies because I don't watch a lot of TV, so
Okay.
I'll watch a series. But yeah, I was just telling her that Dark Winds is actually a new series being put out. Executive producers Robert Redford, and when he was doing Sting, he kind of got a little bit more on the story of indigenous people and their struggle and just trying to be able to live in some kind of respectable manner. They try so hard, but it definitely is touching on the things you guys are touching on, and that would be like the federal coming over and crossing over. There's 2 police on a 27,000 acre reservation, and that people wonder, well, why can't they find that's much better. Why can't they find can you do hers too? Because she looks like, we all know you're an angel, Sandy, but you're kind of glowing, darling. She got an aura tonight, doesn't she?
There we go.
Oh, that's perfect.
I
That's
want y'all
perfect.
to see the water. The beach is literally just right there.
Is
There's
it?
an access road to dunes, and we can see the ocean from the deck.
Yeah, but you guys
Oh,
are
that's
seeing
wonderful.
the light coming
Yeah.
in.
And
Yeah.
it is rainy and overcast here today, and that's actually what we'd hoped for.
Uh-huh.
Both like rainy, gray. I call it my soft gray days. That's when I'm at my most creative.
Uh-huh.
And yesterday in Tacoma and Olympia, it was like in the 90s, and I was absolutely melting.
Oh, I can imagine.
Here, it's only going to be the highs in the 60s and lows in the 50s. We're in Pacific Beach, Washington.
Wow, that's awesome.
I've been
We had-
munching on some salmon berries outside. They grow wild here.
Oh, do they? Oh, that's pretty
I've only
cool.
never had
I'm so
before.
glad you guys are getting to travel and see all these cool things. And you know what? That really adds a lot of flavor to the stories, too. When you've been to the places,
When
you're
we've been to
able.
the spot, there's a house I read about,
Mhm.
the Judge Bigelow house. It's one of the oldest houses in Tacoma. Susan B. Anthony was a guest with the judge and his wife. It's a museum. It's closed now because of everything that's been going on, and I think it needs a little updating. But we actually went, we visited, we walked around it, we videoed it, we talked about it. We got pictures of the marker, the fence they have
So
really
cool.
brought in from somewhere else in the 1800s. And it adds such another dimension. And
Yeah.
another thing we did today, we were in Aberdeen. We've been there a couple of times. And we found Kurt Cobain's boyhood home.
Mm.
Got a picture of that. And there's a makeshift memorial park under the bridge right down the street. And when he was a kid, he would sit under there and throw rocks in the river.
Oh,
And
man.
and decided that he wanted to get the hell out of Aberdeen. And
Wow.
I felt his spirit down there today. I
Yeah.
just had this overwhelming sadness
Uh-huh.
and melancholy. And imagine being 12 years old and sitting under that bridge. And they had a live album called On the Muddy Banks of the Wisconsin. It's right there on the Wisconsin River. That was
Right
the
there.
video.
Right there.
And then
Wow,
just
you guys
sit
should have
down
sat
and
there and played that song.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
We played it on the radio.
Yeah.
And the sign coming into Aberdeen has got "Come as You Are" across the bottom of it, and a little hint to Nirvana
Nice.
there. So his spirit is still here.
Yeah.
And I said
Yeah.
the Memorial Park, they had his air guitar. Kind of a joke. There's a guitar stand there, and it said Kurt Cobain's air guitar.
Oh, wow.
They had a couple of different memorials. and then underneath the bridge there where he hung out and smoked whatever he smoked at the time.
Right.
There's a lot of
I
graffiti.
decided to get the hell out. Yeah, yeah. That's
And
amazing.
I
So
had to
many
cross,
people.
I had
Yeah.
to walk the bridge over the water to get into the little park. And just looking out, it's like all these. It's a very blue collar, very working class neighborhood. A lot of guys out, working in the yard with no shirt on. It's a very poor economic area. It's the lumber capital of the world, but it's also, if you don't want to be a lumberjack or work in a sawmill or drive a lumber truck, there's not much else to do there. I mean, service industry, there's lots of places to eat and things like that, but there's not a lot of choices. So we totally understood how he felt the way he did growing up
Right.
there.
Oh, I'm sure he left a big piece of himself there, and he's probably gone back and forth, back and forth. I hope he, like we were talking last, I just hope he was not stuck in between. And I meant to answer somebody's question from last night too. Bowden was talking about. He was talking more like a limbo-y kind of thing. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's the space between some. I had a friend who was. Very high up in the voodoo. She was actually a descendant of Marie Laveau, and really good friend. She's the one who put her ex-husband in the bottle, threw him in the lake.
Yeah.
She used to call it the unseelie fae. And, so it doesn't matter what you call it. The point is,
the
it's
liminal
there.
spaces, the places between. There is a between.
Mhm.
There's the here and the there, and sometimes they kind of cross over, and there's an in-between space that you can get in and even get stuck in or stay in. That's neither here nor there.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's one of the trips we've got planned. Sandy called me the other day. She said, "Let's go to New Orleans." And I said, "I'm down. Let's go."
Let's go.
And,
Yeah.
Later on, probably in the fall or something. We haven't
Well,
really
absolutely,
talked
absolutely.
about it.
They say, I'll tell you for some inside information, and I've been there a couple of times. They say it's best to go during Halloween time, like the time before Halloween, moving up to, so in the fall, rather than Mardi Gras. They said it's a great atmosphere, but it's a little less crazy. Everybody's there. It's a whole different atmosphere, and it's just really cool. So if you can kind of, I know you're going to Sleepy Hollow or something around Halloween, but you never know.
Going to Salem, Mass around Halloween.
Salem.
Halloween week up there. But,
Yep.
New Orleans, it definitely have to be not hurricane season and not around Mardi Gras, because the town is crazy any time of year, but it's 10 times crazy during Mardi Gras, and I wouldn't want to be down there in a hurricane either, because it's not those levees break and the whole place will blow.
Oh, I know. We were there, actually leaving our scheduled time to leave. To head out. There's only like one way out of there. I mean, there's like one big highway out, and we were well on our way out and looking behind going, what's all that dark? We had no idea. We were visiting. We had a busy, bustling like 2 days. It was one of those quick trips, and we didn't realize there was a hurricane coming. Didn't hear anybody. Nobody told us there was a hurricane coming. Nothing.
A lot of these people
We barely made it.
They will not leave.
Well, it was the one right before Katrina. Whatever, what was that, Michael? I can't remember, but it was the one right before Katrina, and we just barely missed it by an hour maybe.
Missed it by that much.
Yeah, that much, and had no clue. I mean, if we had stayed for a sandwich, we probably wouldn't be here right now. But anyhow, everybody had a great time last night, and I'm not quite done with that one yet. Donnie, I don't know, man. I'm like still with that stupid case. But here's another one tonight that is just as nutty. I mean, I have been digging into this one. I know Steve and I have talked about it. Sandy, you're kind of all of a little about Amityville. You said you're well versed in it. Have you heard of the recent stuff that's come out? Or
I know that they interviewed DeFeo again in prison, and he was saying
his last interview.
He did it. That he didn't commit the murders.
Well, he's back and forth. So with him,
I know.
With DeFeo, and I'm going to bring that up in another episode tonight. We're basically just here
talking about the house, right?
Right, yeah. Right here, we're just basically talking about the story that Jay Anson put out, what, not so much what happened with the DeFeos beforehand. We'll hit that later on in another episode. Tonight's just good, old-fashioned what the hell is this all about? What's the story and what was put out? So I thought the best thing to do is talk to Leonard Nimoy because he knows what he's doing. And if you think about it, this came out in the 70s. The show that we're going to watch tonight, I broke it up in little parts, but the one we're going to watch tonight is basically came out right when the movie came out. So the book's been out. It's about gone to paperback because they kind of almost overlap there. And then they did the movie. So we've got a couple of slides. And oh my gosh, yeah. It was, I've got it right here. Well, let's see. I've got what I've got just to show everybody and get everybody a little taste of the flavor of it. I've got the trailer for In Search Of. So let's see what Leonard tells us about it, and then we'll come on back. Okay? Is that cool? It's about 2 minutes long.
A house possessed. One family murdered. Another fighting for their sanity. This is Leonard Nimoy inviting you to meet the actual victims as we go in search of the Amityville Horror.
I'll tell you what. Now, when I saw that, if I was, gosh, I was probably, I want to say about 14, 15 when the movie came out, 16. And then right before the movie came out, In Search Of did a whole episode on the Amityville Horror. And you see how they promote it, man. You know, when you see that, you were like all about it. I'm there. I gotta be there to see that show. And again, this is back in the 70s. So if you missed it, you missed it. You know, we barely had, I think they were still struggling with beta or VCR. That little struggle was still going on, because I can remember my aunt and uncle arguing with my cousins about getting Nanu. I remember that. And, you know, they were talking about getting cable was coming. It was coming. It was on the cusp, you know. And, you know, the whole thing about VCRs and betas and all that. And they were very electronic people. They had all the you know, the stuff then. You know, Atari were the first one on the block to have Atari. First one to have the big old color TV, because they were in the music and television business. So anything like that, radios, electronics, CB radio, we had the whole shebang. But, you know, seeing that and knowing, I was like, what do you do when that's coming on? Because you had to reschedule everything. You're going to miss it. You didn't get to, you know, tape it or TiVo or any of that kind of stuff. So, am I froze? Are we froze? Let me see what's going on here. Steve, can you guys hear me or no? Are we going? All right, hold on one second. Oh, good, Aunt Edna? Okay, good. So who's freezing then? Somebody froze. Or were they talking to were they talking to Frozen? Okay. So anyway, I don't know. I don't know where they went, but they'll be back. Probably going to have a cigarette. So, oh, froze for Frozen moment. Okay. I got panicked there. We're 5 by 5, right? It's like I freeze a lot when watching this channel. So that's the thing. When that came on, I remember seeing that, and I knew that I wasn't going to be there to see it because I was in a band, and you were never around on the weekend. You know, it was constantly, we were out playing and stuff. You understand that, don't you, Blue? And so I never got to see it. In fact, I saw the In Search Of for Amityville probably for the first time this year. Ain't that crazy? Now, a couple of people I've been talking to over the past few weeks said that they weren't very familiar with this story, had heard of it, really didn't get into it. You know, do you refresh through the program, Amy? No, 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 it's not complaining. Just tell me. I don't know. My bandwidth is pretty darn strong right now. And I don't know if it's YouTube. So here's the deal. Anybody that knows more about YouTube than I do, please jump in here to help those that are having problems with. So tell me, does it freeze, Amy? Or is it like you start getting the worry worm going around like it's trying to reload itself? If that happens, there's 3 little dots up in the corner of the thing. Hit it, and you can change the quality, okay, of your video, and change it down like a 480 instead of a 720, and see if that helps. Because it could be, or take your Wi-Fi off or put it on. It also depends on what you're watching. Are you watching it on a cell phone? Are you watching it on an Android? Or are you watching it, you know, on a laptop or a tablet? So that's probably the extent of what I know about it. But again, if you hit those 3 dots, hit quality, you'll get a choice that'll come up where it says, like, I think it's like 1080, which most people leave theirs on, 720, 480, something like that. Go down 1 or 2 and see if that changes, okay, Amy? Because I don't want you to have to go through that. And it just depends on your, you know, the strength of your signal and, you know, 10,000 other things, you know, and that's the extent of my tech right there. So there's that. This is what we're going to be watching tonight. And again, I saw this for the first time this year, this In Search Of. Now, oh gosh, thank you so much, Layla. Thank you so, so much. And we're going to have to schedule you. Can you hit me up through Steve, get my email? It's journeythroughthegate@gmail.com. Hit me up so we can, you know, schedule if you just want to come on in on a Monday Madness. I'd love to talk to you first, though, just so we can set up everything so it would be nice for you, what you need and everything, and what you want to talk about. Some talking points. And that's it. I don't need much. You just push my button. I'll talk for 2-3 hours straight. But lovely to meet you, and thank you so much for the super sticker. We really need it. So, speaking of that, this is where we're going to do a thumb pause. And if you haven't hit the like button, take a moment. It could just be the ghost, Mike. You know what? I never even thought about that. Look at that. I didn't even think about that. He's probably right. It's probably just the ghost, because they knock me off of here all the time. And no problem, Layla. So, talking about getting knocked off, I don't know where was I? Amityville. So, here's the deal. I'm going to tell you, again, my little story. Now, my mom died in 76, February of 76. And I remember this book came out. I never asked for anything because I was in a situation where they took me in, my aunt and uncle took me in, and they had 2 sons that were way older than me. One was in college. I was in 6th grade, I think. And my other cousin was about 2 years ahead of me. So they'd never had a girl. They didn't, you know, we knew each other, you know, through life. I mean, we were always a close family, large family, but we weren't real. We didn't see each other a lot. People spread all over. Welcome back, guys. So what happened was, I remember on a rare occasion, we all went to the Monmouth Mall here in New Jersey. And we were walking around, and I promise you, I never asked for a thing. Walked past this bookstore, and I couldn't help it. I said, I've got to have the book. The hardcover was there. It was in every window. It was in a big round thing out front, you know, like they do promoting a big book. And I had to have it. And I can remember them talking about it and saying that it looked like it was too scary. They didn't know me very well. But, you know, I tried to keep everything low key because, like I said, I'm in a new house. These people don't know me. So you don't come out and go, hi, I believe in ghosts. I see ghosts. I talk to dead people. You get the hell out. Go, you know, foster home or something. So it was just basically, I wanted this book. I read the book. I was old enough to understand that everything in that book could happen and has happened and has all over the place, right? And I can remember getting to the part about the priest and the phones where he's trying to call and it wouldn't let him. And there would be all this like static and stuff. And I had known somebody that had happened to.
Voices and laughter and stuff in there too.
Yes,
Something
yes.
swearing at him. Oh my God, it was bad.
Yes, and would not let them back and forth. And that was it for me. I mean, I finished the book, but every night I would put the book outside my door in the hallway. I wouldn't sleep with it in my bedroom. But that's how crazy it was. You know, it was like a fever. And I pulled together a couple little things right here. Let me see if I can get it back to the...
Roll that beautiful bean footage, Cisco.
What, honey? I couldn't hear you.
I said, roll that beautiful bean footage.
Right. Well, this is it right here. This is the movie. This was the movie poster. This is the movie poster that was all over. Yeah, his hair looks great. He looks great. I'm just so glad. Y'all just beautiful people. So here's the movie poster that I was used to seeing when, after the book, because I've read that thing like 3-4 times. And then I started studying different parts of it, to try to validate it for myself. This movie came out, and I remember going to see it. And it was, I was okay with the movie. It wasn't like crazy. People they had put out there like Hitchcock did, where people were fainting and all this other stuff. That was more Exorcist that I understand, But people did get a little crazy with this. Lots of rumors, lots of things about Native Americans and everything else. But at this point in time in the conversation, we're just going to go with the book to the movie. So this is what I've got to tell you about this. The Amityville Horror. Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
I've seen the first one and the second one. The second one scared the absolute out of me.
The second one?
Yeah.
Did it really? I didn't like the part about the Native Americans. I thought that was very exploited. There is some truth to a section of this island being used for a couple of the tribes there that lived on that island, where they kept like the insane and the crazy.
There are places like that where I believe that the ground is sour.
Yes.
We talk about that. Yeah. That's a big trope in fiction.
Yeah.
Pet Cemetery looks like that. But I think that really happens. You can live on cursed land. You can build a brand new $15 million house, and it's going to be just as haunted as what it was actually.
Yeah, exactly. I think this whole area has got something going on with it. And, there was another house here. It got moved down the block, and then they built this one. I mean, there's just so much stuff going on, but we'll unpeel it as we go.
The house itself was, it wasn't a haunted house book per se, but the house itself was one of the main characters.
Yes. As you see right here.
Had that barn shape, that typical New York, upper New York there, the barn shape, and those windows that look like eyes with the lights. Now, if you go up there today, the house is still there, but they changed those iconic.
They sure did.
And it doesn't look anywhere near as scary.
Yeah.
And they interviewed people that lived there. I don't know if it's people that live there now, but people that lived there right after all that happened when the show came out. And they said the scariest thing about it was people showing up all hours and trying to get in the house or getting in the yard.
Every year.
And
for Halloween, all through the 90s. Now it's eased off a little bit, and they even changed the address and everything else. But every Halloween, you couldn't get down the street. So
they changed the windows in it too.
Yep, they sure did. Okay, right here, what they're saying, I just want to let you know what the gross of this was, how huge this was in 1979. The Amityville Horror premiered in the United States July 27th, 1979. It was one of the most successful films produced by an independent studio at the time, and was the most profitable release since Born Losers in 1968. The film opened in 748 theaters. That was huge back then. Grossing over $7 million for the weekend. It grossed over $13.3 million for the week in 810 theaters, and the second best opening of the year to that date over Moonrakers, which was huge. Moonrakers was huge. It was $14 million. And
side note, I'd like to point out there, the Born Losers.
A
lot of people younger than us probably don't recognize the significance of that movie.
Right.
That introduced the character of Tom Laughlin as Billy Jack, one of the most awesome movie badass characters
Yes,
ever.
my major crush. Are you kidding me? A Cherokee Marine that does
Billy Jack, the trial of
um
Billy Jack. Billy Jack goes to Washington, and
mhm.
he was working on a movie called Billy Jack and Jean. The lady that played the woman in the
Oh yeah,
movie that ran the Indian School, that was his wife in real
right.
life, but he passed away before they could ever get
Oh
that one.
jeez,
But
that
to me,
stinks. But if
it's
you haven't seen Billy Jack, you need to see it. But
inspiration. You go to school the next day after one of those movies played on TV,
yep,
all the kids were kicking each other in the
yeah.
face.
How many people in the hallway were saying, "I'm gonna kick you on the right side of your face with my left foot," and there's not gonna be a damn thing you do about it. I love Billy Jack.
Everybody that said hi to me, I
Well,
wasn't being
well,
rude.
all the Lala Brights here. Hey there, how you doing?
Hello, everybody.
And
Yeah, the wonderful people in here. Paradox.
all you people that we haven't said hi to. It's hard to see we're having to do it on a computer, so we set up that.
Yeah, it is hard. It is hard. Yep,
I'm
Billy
going
Jack was
into
absolutely.
hotspot.
She saved the day with her hotspot. We couldn't get on
Oh
the
my
internet.
God, bless you guys. Bless you guys.
Oh, I had to take it. We've had some adventures this trip. Had a flat tire in Aberdeen the first time.
I hit
through,
something in the road.
and didn't get to check in the first hotel about it was after 2 o'clock in the morning. Then the next day we went to a little place called Lacey, which is just outside of Tacoma, and we were in like the motel or something there.
Steve almost had to bail me out of jail already.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
wow.
While we were getting the car tire fixed, she had roadside service, and the guy came out to put the spare on because the lug wrench that we had did fit. So while we were doing that, I guess he was a straight person, drug addict, drunk or something, came up and started talking smack, and Sandy was going to whoop his ass.
Mm.
And then we all kind of shouted at him, and he got to go away. Next day, we get to the hotel that we're staying at in Lacey, and it was, like I said, not a really good place. There's a lot of action going on in the parking lot, like a lot of girls getting dates and stuff, that sort of place. But it was next door to Denny's, so we knew it had to be good.
Oh, the Denny's.
But we got there, so we could check in at 2. I get an email saying my reservation's been canceled. I'm like, wait, what? So I called the place, and the lady says, yeah, their computer systems are down. We had to cancel all the reservations, but we still have yours. You can come check in at 3. Got there at 3. The lobby was full of people. Somebody had threatened her and tried to kick the door of the office in. And we just left, went and ate, did something, came back. 5 o'clock, I think she finally had everybody checked in, and it still took her 30 minutes to check me in.
Wow.
But we had trouble with the Wi-Fi there, and it was just on and off something interesting the whole time. The Google Maps led us on a merry chase trying to find Kurt Cobain's boyhood home at the park. We persevered. Rather Sandy did. We finally found it, but couldn't rely on the directions.
Man, we were.
That was a good one.
I was about ready to chuck my phone in the river. I was pretty upset.
I can imagine.
We couldn't check in until 4. We got here about 2, so we found another place up the road, a really fancy. This is like kind of a no frills beach cottage where we're at. There's a $2 million vacation homes up on the hill, restaurants up there, so we go up there and hang out for time to come in here. Get here, the internet doesn't work, and it's like 4:45. Like, I got to use the bathroom and smoke a cigarette before I explode. And she's like, I got a hotspot on my phone. I'm like, we're saved. So we got on just as you were starting.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here, man.
They hooked me up with another router in a nearby cabin so we can get on the internet. I just want to give everybody the saga.
Yeah.
It's
See what
been
people go through to come here?
It's been an adventure inside of
Mulder's here. He's had a good time, though. He slept a lot.
Mulder's doing good.
First time ever that he's been to an off-leash dog park, and they had a separate area for little dogs, medium-sized dogs, and big dogs.
Oh, how nice.
He was the only one there, but he ran around and played and talked to some of the other dogs through the fence. He's dog friendly anyway.
Right, right. Well,
Just
they.
catching everybody up. Didn't mean to interrupt you and
No,
what
no,
you
that's okay. It's just
all these
they
people.
get excited when they see other dogs. You know what I mean? And I think it's really good for them.
But we've had a good time so far, and we're
Oh
here for
gosh.
4 days, and then coming back through Yakima, where I had the thing last time. Yeah, I had a book signing at King Books in
Yep.
Tacoma. Went well, and just, I love it up here. Tacoma, it felt like fall was in the air, even though it was hot.
Really? And you're high up. You got the altitude going on too, don't you? Aren't you up?
No, we're
No.
seeing it. That was
Are you?
just,
Are you? I thought you were up. Okay. Because I know it could a lot
and
cooler.
we will be when we go up to Olympic National Park. Yeah, we'll be 4,000 or 5,000 feet anyway.
Oh, look at this one. That I hadn't heard that one in a while. The Changeling with George C.
I
Scott.
like the Changeling was good.
I love
Sandy,
anything with
all
George C.
about
Scott in it.
every classic horror movie and some of the B stuff that nobody knows about. And that's part of the direction that we're going to be going on 13 Past. We're going to got some new, exciting stuff coming up over there. We'll be doing some storytelling independently and together. We've got a new series that we're doing on the road with the both of us. It's going to be just amazing.
Oh, that is great. That is great. Oh my
Those stories
goodness.
from the road. You want to watch for it. How do you think of those stories?
Oh yeah, yeah. You
So-
guys got to see
So
this.
while we're up here, and she comes out here about once a month. You look at this. We got Haunted Washington.
Wow.
Washington's haunted hotspots, and then my personal favorite, Weird Washington. It's
Weird Washington.
cryptids, a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. What's the major cryptid they got up there, Steve?
Well, Sasquatch, of course, and I found out a new one that I had never heard of. We stopped at Mount St. Helens on the way up, and I filmed some stuff there. Sandy manned the camera. She's excellent.
Yeah.
And director. There's something that it was. Some people say it was seen right before Mount St. Helens exploded in 1980, killed 57 people. Some of those bodies have never been found or recovered. But they saw something they didn't know what to call it. They call it bat squatch. It's something the size of Bigfoot, but it has leathery wings. And a lot of people compared it to Mothman, which, if you'll remember, Mothman appeared there over the river before the Silver Bridge collapsed.
It's true. Like a harbinger of doom.
Oh, T-shirt. My T-shirt is Base Camp Chris, one of my favorite guys. He goes into the woods and tells stories.
Oh,
I know
nice.
what we're going to be doing. We had the idea, and then Sandy's like, well, it's kind of a guy that already does that. So I went and looked at his. What we've got is something totally different than mine.
Right.
Love Base Camp Chris. Go watch his channel. He hikes out in the woods, drinks a beer, tells a ghost story.
That's great. That's great. You know what? There's plenty of room for all the channels, I think, because there's there's certain tastes, Like, as you can tell, I'm an acquired taste. But I've had people, well, I unsub because you smoked a cigarette. I unsub because you said a bad word. I unsub. Unsub. You got to make yourself comfortable. I can't change me. If I was come up here with my hair all up in a beehive and, some high collar dress on and talk, hello, how are you today? I'm so prim and proper. I can do it, but.
I bet you have the best beehive ever.
God, I lived with enough sisters with Aquanet in my house in the 60s and 70s.
My mom's hairspray choice.
I won every big hair contest at the bar we had in the 80s, and that's saying something.
Great.
Yeah,
but those cans, we had to burn our garbage. We lived out in the country.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. I got that in the book about the Aquanet cans blowing.
Big enough. Anytime there was a hairspray can in there, my dad. Now be careful. There's a hairspray can in there. I'm like,
oh goodness, thank you so much.
And occasionally,
honey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you, sweetie. Every bit of this goes to pay StreamYard.
I meant to send you, and I left it in St. Helens, Oregon. I got some art supplies and
True Paradox.
Some other stuff I had sitting around, stuff I told you about, some oracle cards and stuff. And I ran off and left the box in the garage.
Man.
I'll remind him to send it before I leave his driveway.
Just go in there and get the box that's got the pendulums in it and throw it towards me.
I need to get that back to you. I've had
Steven,
that 2 years.
Gosh,
Like,
yeah.
I know
Oh
that
gosh,
too.
been longer than that.
Actually, why don't you just send it home with me and I'll mail it back to you because I got to mail off posings.
Because see, what I'll do is because you've had them and it's absorbed your energy, and I've had them, it's absorbed mine. They're great anyway, and I don't take credit for that.
We
Steve
need
gives
to
me
cleanse
credit,
them since I've had them.
but it's not me. It's the gemstones. But what we'll do is every week we can raffle one off here, and that way you got a little of Steve and a little of me and a little of Sandy, and there you go. This great energy starting out. All you got to do is add you to it and go. It'll be great. So there you go. But so listen, let's crack this egg open here. What I was getting to, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you guys off, but if I don't, we're gonna run.
No, you're good.
It'll be 11 o'clock, and everybody's gonna go. Where did Amityville go?
Subject.
So anyway, the point about this is it blew the doors off. No pun intended. Well, go ahead, take the pun. Of anything that was out there. I mean, they hyped this thing 6 ways to Sunday. Why Margot Kidder got this, it bothered me through the whole movie. I don't know why. It's just something about the way she talked just irritated me, and I'm sorry, but that's the truth. And I think that's one of the things that, that got me with this.
Brolin was kind of whiny in his
Yeah, he was kind of whiny. But,
I didn't like the remake.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I didn't either. And I thought the whole I'm so tired of Native Americans being exploited.
All records with the theaters. I remember seeing on the nightly news, like Walter Cronkite had really.
Right.
They went into Manhattan where it was showing, and they had to add all these extra shows. It was playing like literally.
It was like Star Wars. It was before,
And people were lined up around the block in Midtown Manhattan, 2 o'clock in the morning to see.
Like Rocky.
Of course, it played big in New York because it happened. They're on
right
Amityville.
Yeah, in Long Island. But see, the thing I've always said is this happened, and just a few miles away was the Smurls. That whole thing we did in Anatomy of a Haunting. And I played it, we broke it all apart, and, it was a basic, well, it wasn't your basic, it was full-blown crazy haunting. And I have no problem believing that one. I've listened to the daughters that have grown up now, and, the father convinced me the most because of the time and the job he had. I can't believe that he would lie about the things that were happening, because it just created more issues. They made no money. They made nothing on the movie, and it was a made-for-TV movie. It wasn't like this, where they really went,
full out.
Yeah, full tilt boogie on making money on this one.
Yeah.
So, and I'll show you, I'm fixing to show you what they did. This was the second.
That's the one that scared the hell out of me.
This is the second one. This one was
Could've been
totally out of left field. It really had not a lot to do with it. Focused on, the possession of the family, and the sister, and there was a lot of weird stuff thrown in this one. Here's all the movies that were made from it.
And they
you got
all
79, 82. Yep, 82. I mean, all of them. Look at them. Look at them. They're still going. They're still going. This is 2017 and 2022. They got 3 of them.
They suck.
Yeah. Oh God, they're so bad. Don't buy them. Don't rent them.
Don't waste your money.
They're probably in the dollar store in the bin right now, but I wouldn't even pay $1. I wouldn't watch it. But that's just to show you how many. And look at this. In 2022 alone, 3 straight to DVD releases based on the Amityville case are slated for release. Amityville Uprising, Amityville Bigfoot, and Amityville Karen. I want to see the Karen one.
That one might be
Scare the hell out of me, right? But that's pretty incredible. And basically what we want to remember is these people right here, and the mom and dad, were killed. Okay? And you have to think that the Lutzes moved in and, bought it knowing that 6 people died in this house. So there's the mother. These were off to the side here. This is one of the weird things you're going to hear in later on episodes. But they had Ron DeFeo, Ronald, Big Ronnie, the father, had commissioned. It was always about showing off and money. These were oil paintings that he absolutely almost killed the the artist over. The artist would come to the house. He accused the wife of having an affair with him, but he kept calling him back to fix the portraits. Each one of these oil paintings in 1974, 75 cost him $15,000 a piece. So you'll hear a lot about the oil paintings in later on stuff. And this is the funeral. Six coffins. This is devastating, and a lot of people keep forgetting that this actually happened in this house, and to exploit it with all these movies and craziness, it's nuts. It's absolutely
Can
nuts.
you imagine the energy in that house?
Yeah, right straight up. And then you hear like the rumors that they had paid $400 to keep the beds. Who wants the beds? Are you kidding me? They died in the beds.
Yeah, every one of them face down died in the bed.
But some of the weirdest parts of it to me is I can understand maybe the first one or two being shot to death.
Mm-hmm.
How come nobody got up and tried to run
With
or
a
tried to
shotgun.
Yeah.
And they're loud.
Especially some of the smaller kids, they could have gotten up and ran easily.
Right.
One
had a broken ankle, and there was a wheelchair there. Yeah, he had I think it was broken ankle. Because I know one of the cops walked in there.
Mom and dad, they're in the same room.
Yeah.
If I'm in a room sleeping and you shotgun somebody that's sleeping next to me, I'm probably going to wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. And, a lot of people, there was a rumor around that they had drugged them and everything else. The toxicology report came back negative.
Toxicology report.
Yeah. I think even Hans Holzer came out with something that made the most sense, and that was he was talking about if there was. Now, again, that's a lot of controversy. If you ask Alexandra Holzer what Hans heard about it, what he thought about it is completely different than what other people will tell you. And Hans himself would say, I can explain them being, if it's a real haunting, if it's real something with that kind of power, if that kind of evil, it can definitely put you in a frozen state. Basically sound is held back by the magnetic fields and stuff like that. But, I'll bring that up later on. What we're going to do is watch, it's 10 minutes. It's this In Search Of was only about 22 minutes. So we've got two 10-minute videos, and we'll play the first one. You take your break. You guys can hear, right?
Yeah.
Okay, as long as you can hear, you'll be able to hear Leonard.
Those moments is here. Amy, my secret crush, don't tell anybody. Jose's here.
I have your stuff.
And
we got stuff to mail to Jose. And Cisco, did you show that picture to Donnie Cho yet?
I can do that when this is playing. I couldn't pull it up here because it was going to knock me off. But I will definitely send it to Donnie Cho.
So, needs to go out real quick. Sandy and I are both smokers, and we can't smoke anymore.
Take your time. You got like 10, 12 minutes. Okay? Right. Enjoy.
A recent motion picture has mystified and frightened thousands of moviegoers. Most people think the Amityville Horror is a good, scary ghost story. What is not commonly known is that the film is actually based on fact. It's a true story. Was there an evil presence living inside this house? The House of Horrors is in Amityville, Long Island, an unlikely target for an evil curse. Amityville is a pleasant New York suburb. The name Amityville means town of friendship. The house that was for sale at 112 Ocean Avenue was a dream turned into reality for the family of George and Kathy Lutz.
I described the house as charming the first time I saw it, because that's what I thought of it.
You know, I was saying, Kathy, do you believe this? And she said, no, I don't believe this. You know, it's a lovely house. We don't feel there's anything wrong with the house. The house is it's a happy house. It's a house to have a good time in, to have parties in.
Everyone in the area knew that the year before, a family of 6 had been murdered here, so no one wanted to buy the house. The price was very reasonable. George and Kathy decided to ignore superstition and buy it. They settled into their new home just before Christmas. As is common with many Catholic families, Mrs. Lutz asked her parish priest to stop by and bless the house. This blessing began in the sewing room and seemed to set off a chain reaction which would jeopardize the lives of everyone involved. Because of criticism later leveled by other church officials, the priest has never before talked to anyone in the media. In Search Of was able to locate him, and he agreed to tell us his story, but only if he could remain anonymous.
I was blessing the sewing room. It was cold. It was really cold in there. And I thought, gee, this is peculiar. You know, because it was a lovely day out. And it was winter, yes, but it didn't account for that kind of coldness. I also sprinkling holy water. And I heard a rather deep voice behind me say, "Get out." It seemed so directed toward me that I was really quite startled. I felt a slap at one point on the face. I felt somebody slap me, and there was nobody there.
Later, George and Kathy couldn't believe that flies could be swarming in the dead of winter. Then they puzzled over a toilet that, when flushed, these and other events began to unnerve them. Strange events also affected the priest who blessed the house. He discovered blisters were festering on his hands.
I went to the doctor for it, yes. And he couldn't explain it. He thought it might be caused by anxiety, and of course that's feasible. But I don't think I'm given over to psychosomatic responses.
He called the Lutzes to warn George and Kathy. Noise interference prevented any communication.
Kathy?
He could never get through.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, is someone there?
Hello.
Unexplained phenomena in the house increased.
Each room had its own
Personality?
thing, yeah. In time, you couldn't deny that something was very wrong because too many things didn't add up.
Frightening spirits seemed to inhabit the whole house. Kathy felt compelled to talk to the priest. She wanted him to come back and bless the house again. Further attempts to communicate with the priest, however, seemed to be sabotaged.
Father, are you there?
Hello. Hello.
A faulty phone connection?
Hello, is
Perhaps.
someone there?
For almost a month, George Lutz was attacked by a sensation of intense cold. For days on end, he would neglect his work and his appearance, constantly stoking a fire that never warmed him enough. His personality began to come apart, bringing emotional surges.
Confusion, anger misplaced because I would direct it at Kathy for no reason. Moodiness. I lost 25 pounds there easily during that 28 days.
That right there is some funny shit. And Murray just cleared the table. I'll take one of everything, baby. Love you guys. Had to pull over. That's funny. That's funny.
I didn't eat. I didn't go to the office. My values were such that the only thing important was to keep warm and keep a fire going. Everything was very erratic. Our own behavior was erratic.
George still believed he could take things in hand and cope with the unknown horror.
As I do know, when I met George in the first place...
Jay Anson is author of the book, The Amityville Horror.
Water.
He's an ex-Marine, built like a bull, and he's the type of guy who can handle any situation.
A whole damn ocean, Aunt Edna.
With his fists. He literally can. So that when he was approached with this kind of phenomena, he had no idea what he was coping with. None at all. He didn't even know the meaning of the terms in phenomena.
A new problem plagued the Lutzes. The son of the previous owners had shot 6 members of his family while they slept in this very house. George and Kathy now were experiencing vivid nightmares in which they relived the murders as though they were the victims. Difficult as it was, the family tried to maintain a normal existence. But each day, something else, strange and frightening, would be discovered.
On one particular afternoon, I was going about the house rearranging furniture and setting up some storage. I went down to the basement. I went over to one bookcase, which was on the end, and I moved it. And much to my surprise, there was no wall behind it. It was the entrance into this small, brightly painted red room. And I was really surprised and alarmed by the find.
The most impressive thing was when we took Harry around. He would not go anywhere near it. He backed right out of there and ran up the steps.
This red room was not in the original house plans. Why? Who built it? And what possible use could it have?
Scary.
To this day, these questions have never been answered.
Crazy.
George and Kathy could only wonder about the ominous little room. It was just one more aspect of the house they didn't understand.
Wow. Wow. Well, there we are. What do you guys think? Is there anything that went on in there in that segment so far that when you were reading the book, when you saw the movie, when you heard the story, did you think that could never happen? Or did you automatically, with your paranormal puzzling mind...
It makes you wonder, like at the time of day, it's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
The house getting that cold, and generally you have to keep the fire going because it was freezing to death.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of a stretch, but you know, I've been in places that were supernaturally cold like that.
Right. Now, talking about that with the firewood too. Now, what they didn't tell you in this part, they will kind of tell you in the second, is that when George and Kathy had just gotten married, they're basically on their honeymoon, he owned a surveying company. And again, this was in Long Island, and you know the construction was like this at the time. It wasn't really in a slump, but it was the 70s. So energy crisis, all this stuff was going on. The gas even odd thing, all that stuff was going on.
The post-war boom was kind of slowing down.
Yeah.
And the gas and inflation.
Right.
Zips
and he had a small construction business. Surveying, you don't have a lot of great big trucks and all kinds of other things. You're not doing loaders and cats and stuff like that. So, but he started not showing up for work. second in charge. Let's put it that way. We keep coming to the house and calling. You got to come down here. You got to come down here. So they really put forth that George was slowly, or actually quickly, because this, remember, all this happened supposedly in 28 days. And it was taking him over, and he was just consumed with this whole fire thing. And one of the things that got me as a kid is that the smoke, what do you call it? The soot, like the flames where they would burn on the back of it, eventually started to make a demon face. Do you remember that? And the lion that was there that was coming, the statue that was coming to life like it was going to bite him, and it was making him crazy.
Talking pig with red eyes.
Jody.
There was the thing with the flies.
Mm-hmm. The window.
Uh,
Yep. The black ooze seeping out of the wallpaper and up the toilets, and like you saw it. Now, a lot of people, I saw it when it went by. Can you turn up at all, Steve? They say they can't hear you guys. If you can, if you can, turn it up to 11.
I'd be able to move a little closer.
Did you step on a hamster?
On board, I was moving the computer.
Yep, I think you're good. It's a little better.
And microphone on one of Sandy's laptops, so
they can hear you now. They said.
Okay, it's not my usual setup that I do at home. I brought a lot of that with me. I've got a traveling rig, but we literally
Micah says just lean in.
And by the time we got on with the hotspot set up, it was 5 after 5, and you were already starting. So
it's okay, sweetie. It's okay. They said when you lean in, they can hear you. So if you guys just do that, they'll be able to hear you a little better, I guess. Yep, we're getting to that, sweetie. Not so many pictures. Oddly enough, I believe in the investigative case that we're going to talk about in another episode. They did say that they got one picture of the slime, but that seems weird to me. But then again, this is the 70s. You might have had a Polaroid. I don't even know if you had a Polaroid by then. You had the little Instamatics, stuff like that. You didn't have it on your phone. So taking pictures, but that family looked like they had every gadget that was out on the market the day it hit the market, So I would imagine there was cameras in there. If that makes any sense. But up to that part, a lot of people in the chat were saying the room messed with them. The red room. What did you guys think? Sandy, do you want to tell us? What was the feeling about the hidden red room?
About that, but I'll let Sandy go first.
Okay, cool.
The red room. Where all the people were coming out. I think the movie took some liberties there.
Yes.
A little bit.
It had him like fall through the stairs, and then there was legs or feet had gone down into the red room, which was under the stairs there.
Right.
His legs are bloody, and he'd open the door, the walls would be bleeding and stuff. Now, just playing devil's advocate here, but years and years ago, at a place in East Tennessee called Carbide Park, Union Carbide was a big employer out there to the Oak Ridge clients. They had a park where their employees and their families could go. I met a girl who was at the Carbide Park. She was there with a friend. She'd come down to visit in Oak Ridge. She was from Amityville. So we started talking about the house, and she was like, "Oh, I knew the DeFeos. I've been in that house." And she said a lot of it was really strange. But she said the red room was nothing more than just a little storage area under the stairs that were painted red. She said, "I went in there and played dolls before." So it makes you wonder. I mean, Jay Anson, he had a book to sell. He had a story to tell. So there's, and anybody's going to take liberties with it. But it was a blockbuster bestseller of a book, and it was one of those that the movie followed it along so well. It was why the movie, I think the movie eclipsed the book even. And then he tried
Well, see, that's the thing. Look again at the cover. Look again at the cover. Right at the very bottom, like when you saw the cover of the book. Now, again, this is the movie poster, but on the cover of the paperback and on the dust cover of the hard copy, it said right under there where it says the Amityville Horror with the little devil tail, it said a true story right on the cover. And they put forth, and you heard Leonard Nimoy say it first. It really happened. It's a true story. So anybody reading that would keep flipping back, and I swear people did this. As you're reading it and you hit a part like that, or with the priest where he was trying to call her the blisters, you'd flip to the front and they're like, yeah, it's a true story. And I'm like, oh my God.
And it doesn't even say based on a true story. When they say based on a true story,
True story.
Some liberties, some literary license, embellishment for entertainment purposes, but it just says a true story. There's no caveat there. There's
So
no
true.
maybe
Such
parts
a
of it
difference.
just they sold the whole thing as being true, and
Yep.
then something happened there. Something supernatural happened there. I have no doubt.
I believe that, but I don't believe that like the ghosts of people that
There's
the
really not any ghosts in the movie. There is in the
there's
book.
people under the stairs. When it opens, when the priest comes in to bless the house and that door opens, there's like all of those souls that come towards him.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. I would be too, but
yeah.
I think that was a liberty that
in the book, that was really, and now I'm going to tell you it this way, in the hardcover, it was definitely there. When it got to paperback, they had changed some things, added some things, took some things out, and you can compare them page to page if you want to get the first printing or whatever of the hardcover and get the paperback. There's a difference. And so like I was saying about with the dust cover, I can remember having the dust cover because I'd always take, if I was lucky enough to buy a hardcover book, was few and far between, trust me, I would take the dust cover off so I didn't rip it while I was reading it and just have the hardcover. And I can remember so many times while I was reading that book, looking at the cover, it said a true story, and Steve is 100% correct. It made a difference. But keep in mind, this movie came out the same year as Pet Rock. So I'm just saying, you got to think about the times as well.
We were talking about Pet Rocks the other night, and you said that was like, it's the first time that you realized stuff had been foisted on people or whatever, but everything wasn't as it seemed. So.
That's when it did it for me, Sandy. I swear to God.
Bad. It was crazy.
I can remember the moment.
On the news, I had one.
Yeah.
I had a mood ring.
Barnes and Noble sells kits to make your own pet rocks now.
Oh, nice. $29.95, guarantee it, or higher. Probably $49.95 now. But yeah, I think that's the big thing, and I'm wondering. When you were saying that, Steve, I'm remembering that you were a collector of ephedra. Did I say it right? It took him 6 years to teach me that word, y'all. No, no, I said it wrong again. I said ephedra. I think that's a blood pressure medicine.
Ephedra. Paper collectibles.
Damn, I thought I had it.
Paper collectibles. Ephedra. You heard my story about how the old lady taught me that? My story about the kid, the haunted photograph.
Oh yeah, it's a great story. Yeah, but the reason I brought that up is because you were used to reading the words. Last week we had a great time. We did Sears catalog. Sears was great at that. He was like a carnival barker or P.T. Barnum. I mean, the way he was a wordsmith for sure.
Yeah, he wrote the entries for everything.
Everything in there.
And then he was very grandiose and very verbose in his description.
It was
what
wonderful.
The item was and what it could do for you. And if something caught your eye and you read that description, you knew that you couldn't live without it.
Yeah, absolutely. Had to have it. And that's an advertiser's job. And being the fact that my mom and my dad were, both into advertising, and very much so, they were artists for all of the newspapers and circulars and stuff that they were hand drawn. They also had to put together ads. And in a few words, you have to sell somebody something and hook them. I've never seen anything. I've seen some good ones. But that cover, as you pointed out, with where it had the, for God's sakes, get out. And then it's got Amityville Horror and that one devil tale, and then a true story. That is an absolute freaking masterpiece. It hits you on every single level.
Genius. Same with The Exorcist. Remember that? It was just a blank thing. The priest going up in black and white there. The Exorcist. And I remember what the tagline was. Something like, I think it mentioned it's real or a true story. Now,
Rosemary's Baby.
based on a true story of a little boy, I think
Mhm.
in Kentucky or somewhere, that went
Yeah.
to possession and exorcism.
That was horrible. Yeah, he was like 12, 13 years old or something. They still won't give up. Thank good for them because they said,
There was a big bunch of hype on that too. A lot of copycat movies, whole slew of possession movies and stuff. I didn't watch it until I was
I
an
don't watch
adult,
them. I don't
but
watch them.
just
Night of the Demons.
Night of the
Yeah.
Demons. That one
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Well,
I mean,
Demons.
look what they
Something
did.
about The Exorcist because
Look
it
what
was
they did here.
happened to a little girl, and my brother was a church pastor.
How
Part
many?
of his ministry was a deliverance ministry, and they would have services where they would cast demons out of people. I
Uh-huh.
wouldn't stick around for that
Yeah.
because my first thought, if they really did cast demons out of
Where
people,
it's gonna
Where they
go?
go?
where are they going to go?
Where they gotta go?
Bible about Christ casting demons. They went into the swine, and the swine jumped
Right.
off the cliff into
Right
the
off
river.
the
Well,
cliff.
if you watch too, when he takes the demon out of DeFeo,
Mhm.
the demon goes right into the priest. Same
Mhm.
thing in The Exorcist. The demon
Now
goes
that
out.
is that scene in the second movie, the first one, or the book?
Second one.
Yeah, see, the second one was completely different. I mean, I about got up and walked out when they were showing that they had all the Native Americans. Now, what they did in the second movie is they did quick flashes, is awful, of Native Americans, but in the condition that crazy New Orleans. You know who I'm talking about? The lady and the doctor that did the experiments on the slaves,
Yeah.
and they found them in the house burnt. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Horrible stuff they were doing. That's what they portrayed in this second movie, the remake. You know. Now I like the actors better, but the story was so different.
Oh no, I'm talking about not the remake. I'm talking about Amityville 2: The Possession. So at the
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
when the
Now-
priest goes back to because the kid gets out of jail, he runs off, he
Mhm.
knocks the cop out, runs off back to the house. Sorry if you haven't seen it. Spoiler
No,
alert.
spoiler, don't bother. This just
He
save
runs
your
off back to
dollar.
the house and he's possessed. The priest goes into the house looking for him, and he's up floating on the ceiling, and he attacks the priest, and the priest is trying to figure out how to get this demon out of him, right? And the priest finally is like, take me, and I think he reaches up and jerks the chain off of his neck, and then the demon takes over the priest, and the dude's okay, but then the priest is all jacked up, and he knows he's jacked up, so then I think he freaking kills
I
himself.
think so.
Probably. But
And
none
then
of that
all
happened in the
stuff
book.
That they
Or-
used with the Native American stuff, they would later use that in Poltergeist. That was a recycled
Yeah,
plot,
Poltergeist.
Yes.
where
Yep.
the bodies were popping up out of the swimming pool.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And they use real
so
bodies
that,
for
but
that.
that's what I'm saying though. People see that stuff. That's why this is so important, because people see that stuff, and just like anything else, just like the McDonald case or JFK or Lincoln, they think it's actually part of it, and it actually happened. Now, a lot of stuff they said in the book happened. You know what I mean? As far as there was a ton. I mean, they had everything from flying pigs with the red eyes, which is coming up in the second part. They had the red room. In the book, he never fell through the stairs. That was added for the movie. And again, I'm no expert, so if I get something wrong, chat, jump in here, because it's been a long. I read the book in like '77.
I wanted to comment on something here. Linda Lee Chavez said Rose Red was good. Last night we were just a few miles from the place where that was filmed.
Uh-huh.
It's called Thornwood
The Thornwood Inn.
Thornwood Inn or Manor or something like that.
Mm.
You can stay there. There's several rooms. There is a Rose Red room in this town. On probably Sandy's next trip out, we're going to go spend the night there and do a video.
Oh wow, that sounds
Rose
fun.
Red Manor.
I'm telling you what, if you guys don't bring this train through New Jersey, I'm never going to forgive you. I'll take back what I said in the beginning. Bring me my pendulums. Put them in my hand. Put me on the cruise.
We want to go back, swing through East Tennessee,
Uh-huh.
Western North Carolina, and on up the Outer Banks, and then we'll make it all the way up to at least Cape May. How close are you to there?
Mm-hmm.
Are you close to Cape May?
Cape May?
Yeah, how close are you to Cape May?
Oh, God, geography questions. Oh, gosh.
Anyway, that put us in New Jersey. If we get to New
Probably.
Jersey, we'll come and see you.
Probably an hour and a half. It depends on
Okay.
who's driving. That'd be
Donnie,
great.
you're not missing anything. Honestly,
You're not.
Amityville was like a farce at best.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean,
And the
most of
second
them.
one and subsequent, they were just awful.
They were milking that cow for all it was worth.
Yeah.
Something we were talking
Still
about
milking it.
when the Warrens got involved. They played it up. They were making a name for themselves off of it.
Honey, don't get me
I know
started.
here in the future, we've pretty much figured out that the Warrens heavily embellished a lot of stuff, completely made up some stuff. But
Yeah.
some of the stuff they did was just, whether it was real or not, it would scare the hell out of you.
Well,
They
see, the
went
thing
into
is, it's just
Amityville
being in it.
house.
Even if nothing happened, Steve, if no paranormal whatsoever, you're living in a house where 6 people were brutally murdered in their sleep.
Yeah, that's the bottom line right there.
Start right
And then
there.
doing that. But do you
You know?
remember the picture the Warrens had? They
Yes.
took like 5 pictures in the Amityville house.
That boy.
One iconic picture. They're looking up the stairs, and they supposedly didn't see it at the
See if I
time.
can find it.
But there's a little boy about 5 or 6 years old, glowing red eyes, peering through the banister.
Yep. I think I took it off. I used to have it in the kitty. Oh,
That's what the most
speaking
frightening
of kitty, did somebody say kitty?
Yeah.
Somebody said kitty, 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 kitty. Everybody kitty. Yeah, I don't have it anymore. But yeah, we know what you're talking about. That one picture, that always freaks me out. It looks so much like him.
think that the truth is scarier than any fiction they could make up about that house, because that guy went in there and shot his entire family and did not have a reason for doing it. Could not tell them why. So he said.
So he says. I mean, in court, he actually said, I'll try to get this verbatim. Once I started, I couldn't stop. But something you'll have to learn, and you will learn in the future about Ronnie, or Butch, everybody called him Butch, was he would just tell you stuff. There you go. That's the picture right there. Oh, that's clear as a bell. Yep.
Boy,
Yep.
speaking of the banister, and there's one of the actual DeFeo.
I think that's totally possible. It could have been, him as a ghost stuck there, wandering, maybe staying.
The eyes.
The eyes. It's the eyes, man. But I mean, I totally believe that could very well be.
I believe what you are
picture.
saying about Butch. He was a complete utter liar.
Yeah, and he would also say, like, the aunt would come to visit him at the when he was locked up, and she would say, "You got to tell me about the kids. You got to tell me about the kids. Did they suffer? Did they whatever?" And he did not ever want to talk about the kids, and I'll explain why, in the next episode. But he finally got to the point where she would continue to do this, and he would tell her, he would call his grandfather, who owned a Buick dealership in Brooklyn, and tell him, "You've got to tell her to quit, because I don't like talking about the kids." Butch had this disposition. They all did. They had that Bronx, he's got that very, everybody in the neighborhood would tell you he'd never run from a fight. If somebody was in a fight, he'd jump in. He was that kind of guy, he wasn't afraid of, much. But he would just say, okay. And he broke one day and he said, yeah, they were running around the house and they were screaming and begging for their lives. He would just tell them to shut them up. And he did that with the cops. But there's also a big thing on the Suffolk County Police Department. The Suffolk County Police Department, one of the first things that his defense was trying to do, Weber, his lawyer's name was Weber, was trying to say that he had been coerced into a confession. Now, I'm not saying he's not guilty. I'm not saying that. I'm not even going to go there the whole time. There's no doubt in my mind that he had a large part in this. But he was Weber was all over the place. They tried the first thing basically to say he was coerced and beaten into a confession, him and his friend. And they had the reputation as the highest rate for confession in that county in the United States.
That tells us something there. That's very telling.
They had been, the old, I heard this growing up, the old rubber hose, the phone book, the hit the kidneys, that kind of thing. And there's witnesses that said that, Butch looked beat up. You know. Now again, I'm not saying he's not guilty. I'm not saying he didn't do it, but I'm just telling you that little
Yeah,
part
well,
of
the
it.
dad had a
Connections. They all did.
He had this temper and was known to beat those children.
Absolutely. I'll give you a quick
before.
to back Sandy up. I'll give you a quick instance into Big Ronnie. Big Ronnie's father, and there's other people that I'm going to try to bring on that can tell the story better. I'm working on getting a full
Yeah, I think we're getting a
commitment.
little ahead of your.
No,
your
but it's
thing
okay.
here.
But I'll give you a little idea here. What he did, he was sitting there eating. Now again, think upper middle class, big table, a big dinner table was a big deal, you know, to sit at the table. He ruled the house, and he was trying to eat. The kids were in the basement making noise, and he yelled, you know, quiet it down, quiet it down. The mother was down there getting the laundry, was coming up the stairs with the laundry basket full, and he got up in front of company now, opened the basement door all the way, and just hit her right square in the face, knocked her down the stairs. He shut the door and sat down at the dinner table and said, now we can eat in peace. That's Big Ronnie.
Yep.
Yeah, that was Big Ronnie DeFeo. But before we play this second one, I've got a little intermission because people were asking me in the chats and the comments and, you know, DMs and stuff. They wanted a Zombie Steve t-shirt. They wanted the Cisco skeleton. So we've got a new run here on our TeePublic, our Journey Through the Gate merch. Special here for you guys, and a real fun one. Yeah, he's a bastard, Aunt Edna. Absolutely, I'd fucking killed him myself, I swear to God. But we wouldn't have made a movie about it because they wouldn't have found out. But here we go. Take a quick look at this. Talk about bean footage. We got you some beans right here, honey. And they are having a special. So I know, I swear to God, I know that $11 is too much for a mug. But by God, they're decent mugs. They have handles and everything. They will hold your coffee. They'll keep your stuff hot or cold. How does it know, Steve? But do you have a mug with Zombie Steve on it? I think not. Here we go.
I do not. I've got one with a gate on it.
Yep. So that's it right there. It's tpublic.com/Cisco. Now, I threw this one in there. This is an old vintage design. I didn't think it was getting enough play. I love it. But it's got that sepia look. Here's one Monday Madness that's got us on it. This is the Meatloaf and Zavalas. And you'll see this one at the end where the gatekeepers bake them fast and furious for you. My gatekeepers. There's Crispy in his little chef hat. Baking those shut the fuck up cakes. Fast and furious. There he is, Zombie Steve. That's my favorite one, Steve.
Look, there you are.
Isn't he cute?
You guys are great. I love it.
Is that not great? There's a red and a white. You can get it in any color you want. There's the stickers. Get you a sticker. I love the mug.
Nice. Great.
Look at that. It's got, one's got red and one's got white. You choose. And this is just a little square one. The other ones are cutouts. But this is my absolute favorite. This is where the gatekeepers bake them fast and furious. A journey through the gate. And you can get it on a mug, notebooks, all that good stuff. And every bit of it helps out. If you can't do that, and you don't know somebody who would love a Zombie Steve mug, please just subscribe or give it a thumbs up or comment in the
I
on the
gotta
YouTube.
get a mug and a t-shirt. Sandy's
And don't forget the laughter. It's all about keeping laughing. So there you go. There you go. Isn't that great? It came out good, didn't it?
It really, really did.
And it just,
Now,
and I did the
cut all
cutout.
this on the sides off, but when I had the full beard,
Yeah.
and then the little outdoorsy
The
hat that I wear,
Tennessee.
that was it for now.
That was it, man.
I don't know.
Zombie Steve. I don't exactly look like the skeleton either. You can't see through my ribs. I wish you could at some point. But anyway.
Sometimes you can with that green screen.
You're right. I can do all kinds of things with my stack of skulls there. Again, I keep telling people, these are real. These are real. These were hard earned. I got them one at a time. But there you go. So tpublic.com/Cisco will get you there. And if my mod's got that link, I know Uncommon Beliefs got it. And Mairead, I'm going to start sending them to you too, honey, all the links if you want to, because I know you're always here and you're always right there with all the links and stuff. So if that's cool with you, I'm going to start sending them to you as well. And also, if you want to help out, there's super stickers, and I promise you, everything goes to StreamYard just to keep us going here. And, you know, everybody can just help out by thumbs up or sharing it.
Just,
and that helps so much.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Buy a sticker, a super
Yeah.
chat, every penny helps.
You know, you guys you're helping so much. We gained 27 new subscribers. I know that's just in the last couple of days. So thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Deer in the headlights. All right. Part 2. We're up to the Red Room. We, you know, like Steve said, it really, in the movie, they made it this big room. They said that Ronnie used to go in there, Butch used to go in there and conjure demons and all this stuff. No, it's a tiny little room, isn't it? Probably where somebody kept toys. I don't know why they would paint it red, but maybe somebody had some extra paint. I can't speak
That was
for
what
that.
the girl that allegedly had been there. She said it was a playroom for the smaller girl, I think, or one of the girls. They played dolls in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, they turned everything. Now, they did find, Butch did admit, and I thought that that's where they really kind of put them both together, that behind his closet there was a small door where they used to be able to go in, and there was a water heater in there. So in a lot of these older houses, you could go almost like a crawl space, could get in if it needed to be serviced or something. That water heater was for the bathroom that was next to his bedroom. If he went in there and walked along the wall, he said he had to get down and crawl, but he could go in and wind up in Dawn's bedroom, and that was his oldest sister who slept in the attic. So along that wall, very much like the old farmhouse I lived in, it had that secret.
Now,
kind
have
of
you ever
staircase.
heard that theory? That's another one of Butch's stories, and he's told so many you don't know who to believe. He told somebody that originally the oldest sister was in on it with him, that she helped him shoot all the others, and then they were supposed to shoot each other, and he shot her before she could shoot him. Or he's supposed to
I
shoot
didn't
her.
hear about shooting each other. There
Like-
is some validity to that, though.
And then there's another story where they asked him where he got the rifle, and he said there was a dark, like a shadow person in the basement who gave it to him.
It
Somebody
had
else
black
said
hands. It handed it to him with black hands.
For him from a friend of hers. And a rifle, I think.
That's absolutely true. And what really kind of happened was, like I said, his attorney Weber was trying a whole lot of different things, because when all of this happened, I know we're kind of jumping around here, but when all this happened, Butch DeFeo, basically, when everybody first heard about it, he ran into a bar, a little strip mall bar that was right there not far from his house, where he knew everybody and said, somebody's got to help me. Somebody shot all my parents. And he started, my whole family is dead. Somebody shot my whole family. He started blaming it on this hit guy for the mob, because it was definite connections.
Then apparently the mob said, if you don't take ownership of this and say you did it, we're going to do the same to you.
There's so many stories out there, man. It really is a trip, and it's almost a wonder why they hadn't gone in every, different directions with all these movies and books. And then, of course, I don't think there's a Long Island Bigfoot, but very well could be. I'm pretty sure there's a Long Island Karen, though. I have very little doubt.
I want to see the Long Island Karen. Look at this. She goes into the store. She has to see the manager. They don't let her see the manager. She comes back and kills everybody. And then haunts
Right.
them. I don't know.
She tries to return a sweater that she wore over the past 3 years. Or wants to use a coupon twice, for the love of God. All right, honey. Here's part 2. We left it off on the little red room. And what Leonard was telling you is that was, they were soon finding out that was not all their problems. Okay, here we go. You ready, Steve? Go. Is Mulder ready for another cigarette?
All that beautiful bean footage. Yes, Andy and I can step out. We'll
Go
be
ahead,
right.
sweetheart. About 10, 12 minutes.
Even the normal rooms caused strange reactions.
Missy would sing constantly within the room. And if you called her out, or if she came out for one reason or another, as soon as she crossed over the threshold, she would stop singing. Crossing back again, she would pick up the song from the word that she had stopped on and continue.
Missy boasted of her new playmate, someone or something named Jody. Jody, said Missy, could take any shape, a doll, a teddy bear, even a pig. And Jody could only be seen by whomever he chose, and he had remained invisible to Kathy and George. Missy even drew Jody in crayons. George and Kathy were amused at their daughter's fantasy, thankful that the terrifying events had not yet touched her. Their amusement faded quickly into horrid fear when Jody made his presence known to them.
Missy told us later that her friend Jody could not be actually seen by anyone unless it wanted them to. And that at times it was a little bigger than a teddy bear, and other times it would be bigger than the house. Jody had the ability to change its size. One night coming back, I looked up at Missy's room and there was a shape in her room that I don't know what it actually was, and I was coming back from the garage one night. But I would go out to the boathouse for no reason, check everything out, and then go back. I'd do that a couple times a night. The reason I mention that is because our behavior changed, the way we would go about living. I would go from the fireplace to the boathouse constantly.
No longer did George and Kathy feel they were alone. The Lutzes felt driven to rid their home of the evil intruder. They decided to re-bless each room themselves.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread.
That's when things really got bad. We tried to kick out what was there, and it didn't want to go. You go around, you open a window in each room, and you say the Lord's Prayer, and you command it to get out of that room, and you go on to the next room. It didn't want us to go around blessing each room and commanding it to leave. In the name of God, we would go around and do that. And when I finished the first time, we heard a chorus of voices scream out, "Will you please stop what you're doing?" So that convinced us that what we had tried to do didn't work. And things got very bad that night.
We had gone to bed that night and went into a very deep sleep. George woke me, and he had backed up from me, and I couldn't understand the repulsion in his face. And when I looked up, I saw what caused him to back away, and that was my reflection in the mirror. My hair had turned color. There was no true color. It was a gray-white. My face was severely wrinkled, deep impressions coming down across the forehead. My mouth was very tight, very drawn. And the feelings that were going on were confusion, illness, just trying to grasp hold of me, you know.
By morning, her frightening appearance had vanished. George continued to be obsessed with fire. He would stare endlessly into the flames. Slowly, the chill gripped his very soul. The searing heat was etching a demonic face into the fireplace. It was staring out at him through the flames. What would happen next?
We felt absolutely no sense of...
I just got to jump in and tell you that when I got to this part in the book, I threw it out of my room. I tell downstairs, down the hallway and down the stairs, and I had to run down and get it because I was afraid that if my aunt and uncle saw that I'd thrown it down the stairs, they would make me get rid of it, or they would realize they were right. It was too scary. So I had to be brave and keep the secret, but I'll never forget it. It was funny as all get out.
Salvation or outside help.
They feared for their sanity, their very lives.
You know, all kinds of things were going on that night. Noises were going off downstairs, front door slamming, dogs getting sick, the kids' beds are being levitated and dropping down.
The constant barrage of increasing terror finally made the Lutzes realize they couldn't go on.
And that was the last night we spent in the house then, because it was ridiculous to even consider staying there, and yet it was very hard for us to leave, to just organize all 5 of us into the same room and actually get out to the van and get it started and drive away with the dog.
Only 28 days after moving in, the Lutz family abandoned all their possessions, everything they owned. Possible explanations as to what really happened in Amityville will be examined next.
I'm a journalist. I try to investigate as best as I can. When you first hear the Lutz's story, it sounds like a very good haunted house story.
Author Jay Anson.
But then I spoke to the priest at his apartment in the rectory. When I heard his story and was able to put together a chronology of the events that took place within that framework of 28 days, I was convinced there are things out there that many people cannot explain. The phenomena that occurred to the Lutzes and to the father, I sincerely believe they took place.
The Amityville house seems peaceful now. There is no evidence that any strange events have occurred here since the Lutzes fled. In Search Of has previously investigated haunted houses, and we've found that in many cases a human tragedy, such as a murder, has left emotional memories. This may be the explanation for the Amityville horror, or there may have been a much more dangerous force, what psychics and priests call demonic, pure destructive energy, as ancient as time itself. The nightmares the Lutzes had experienced about the murders previously committed in the house caused Kathy and George to investigate the circumstances. Ronald DeFeo had murdered his father, mother, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters. Sentenced to life in Clinton State Prison in New York, DeFeo has claimed that demonic voices goaded him into committing the gruesome killings. Neighbors and acquaintances of DeFeo were astonished at how George and DeFeo looked alike, how they both presented the same appearance. George feared that his recent personality changes were further indications that he might become more and more like DeFeo, and not just in looks. This disturbing revelation prompted the Lutzes to seek out psychic investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens have investigated many disturbed houses, and they examined the empty house, looking for an explanation.
What started the trouble with the Lutzes was the fact that there were 6 people who were murdered in that house. The inhuman, the diabolical, are attracted to where tragedies occur, just like a moth would be attracted to a light. And when the Lutz family moved in 13 months after these murders, they were still using some of the furniture that was in there. We know that vibrations can build up in a home like this of a negative nature, and suddenly we have a psychic explosion.
There are those who speculate that this psychic explosion was not really a sudden buildup from the DeFeo murders, but rather that Ronald DeFeo was the object of negative forces already on this ground. Research shows that the Shinnecock and Massapequen tribes lived in what is today Amityville. The actual Lutz home is built on land where these Indians imprisoned their tribal members who were deemed insane, evil, or possessed. Perhaps these tortured souls caused negative forces to inhabit the Amityville ground. This seemingly far-fetched explanation helped confirm something the Lutzes desperately wanted to hear.
We believe it was there when we moved in. We don't believe it came to bother us after we moved in, let's put it that way. You know, whatever was there had been there for quite a while.
All those involved with the Amityville horror agree on one thing. Some evil thing, no one can explain, seemed to inhabit the house. Why then was it never exorcised?
I'm a Roman Catholic priest. And the Roman Catholic Church teaches that people can become possessed, but not objects. The Lutzes were not possessed, so therefore I don't believe they should have been exorcised. And I don't believe the house was possessed. There was something there.
To this day, no one knows what actually was in the Lutz home. But whatever the explanation, in the case of the Amityville horror, one family managed to escape. For those who lived through the Amityville horror, the emotional shock still lingers. The Lutzes fled to the opposite end of the country, never to return to the house in which they had sunk all their hopes and all their savings.
I think I want my family and my children much more than I want a structure. And if you view it in that perspective, it's easy to walk away from.
We still have that alone feeling. I guess that doesn't go away. We're glad it's over. For us, it's over.
The Lutzes believe it is over. For them, it may be.
Well, guys, there you go. I'm actively reading the chat and getting everything you're putting down. Davy Jones, Chris Jarvis, Micah, and everybody else. Can you guys hear me? I can't hear you guys. Hold on one second. Unmute yourself,
There we
baby.
go. Sorry
There
about
you
that.
go. That's okay. What do y'all think so far on what you just saw?
It's interesting. I mean, that's as good as explanation as any, I suppose, for why it was like it was. But there's just been so many stories and told so many different ways. It's one of those, like I said, I don't know what to believe, but I do believe it's something supernatural occurred there.
Right. And this is my gig too. I think now I know a little bit, more on what a couple of you guys were saying. There has been definitely some new things popping out. But before we bring in new things, what are you thinking right now, Sandy? I mean, on what this right now, what you see, not the movies and all that, but this right here, what they're talking about. Did you see, what did you think about, did he start looking like him? Are you thinking that that's what they were trying to say, or?
I think that's what they were trying to portray. I don't think that's what actually happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, those pictures, though, there was a similarity with the hairstyle stuff.
There was a similarity. I'm not going to dispute that. I do think that there was a similarity.
Right.
I think that the Lutzes saw a way to make a quick buck, and I think they took it.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be more of all that brought out, guys, and I'm asking you to kind of stick with me. We're gonna go down that line. There's so much research. We had to get done with the McDonald case. We did 9 hours on the McDonald case, and then Brian Bowden comes in here with his remote viewing last night and threw us all back. We all did like a 180, like, what? And I'm sitting there thinking, I mean, all day I'm thinking about this stuff. It's like, you spend so much time on something and really digging. I mean, Donnie was digging. I mean, I gave him a whole section and he went one way and I went the other, and trying to bring forth the truth on it. And what it really comes down to is something I heard a guy say. I wish I could remember his name and give him credit, but he just explained it like this: junk in, junk out. It's like having a computer, and the data, the data that you're putting in there is what's going to come out. You could put, 1 + 1 is 10, and that's what it's going to be based on. So really, for the McDonald case, I got to go back to the evidence, which is what I kept doing, and say to myself, well, is it possible that they changed the evidence to fit what they wanted to say? And then you think, well, they didn't have that much time. But the thing is you don't have to fix it in the house. You just have to fix it on paper. It's not that hard. If the FBI lab was in, if
Look,
the CID,
there have been several cases of several haunted homes where it is proven that things leak from the walls, where statues have had things leak from the eyes.
Yes.
Rusty looking substance, oily slick off the walls. They don't know where it comes from. Do I think it happened at Amityville? No. Do I think that house may be haunted? Possibly. Yes, the house has a history. Yes, it is a very tragic history. And yes, I do believe that homes can hold on to that. I don't necessarily believe that Amityville is a possessed house. I believe that it is a haunted house, and there's a huge difference. Huge difference.
Amen, sister. I second that emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that this is what I'm saying. I wanted to show you, and I'm not trying to prove one way or the other to you, because I'm honestly sitting here at this point going,
people can form their own opinions.
I don't know. Yeah, because it's exactly, and that's what you need to do. If you're interested in it, do your research, go back over it. I'm seeing things here where people are going in and finding stuff now, and again, that has
don't take what you
do your
see
own
on
research.
The internet for face value, because what's put on the internet is what has come from someone else. You go to the library and look at books.
You gotta dig. Yeah.
Yes, you have to.
And even if you're looking at a document, Sandy.
Yes.
Those can be fake. I mean, I've sat there. I'm crap on Photoshopping and stuff like that, but I can do stuff. Look at the the episode. Look at this.
These missing person cases that we covered. Sandy can attest to this. You may look at 3 different news sources that'll tell just a slightly different story. Sometimes you've got to look at the police report. Well, the police could make a mistake too. Sometimes it's really hard to separate what really happened and what's being told.
I recently wrote a story, submitted it to Steve. It got kicked back because 2 of the facts were wrong, and it came from a police report. 2 facts wrong, and it was major, something that we could have gotten in trouble for. Right. So I had to rewrite the entire thing because I based everything on those 2 facts. I had to rewrite the whole thing.
Do you know why, Sandy?
Cannot take it for face value.
But I'm going to tell you why you did that. And I'm going to tell you why Steve does what he does. And I'm going to tell you why I do what I do. And a lot of the people in here, especially investigators and people just trying to discern these type of stories. One, it's important to the paranormal for our growth and for our understanding. And like Steve and I say all the time, 50 years in this, 50 years. That's a long time. It's half a damn century. And we're looking back at Bigfoot stuff in the 70s that, and people are still saying there's no evidence. It doesn't make any sense to me. It might not be, we don't have him in a cage, thank God. I hope you never do. Whoever's listening and wants that. But it's important to this whole paranormal field. We've gone up and down to believe in, cutout fairies and pictures of 2 little girls pulled off and fooled one of the best writers ever Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Yep.
You know, got him in some hot water, but it can be done. You know,
But
many
there's
spiritualists
even
and the
a joke
fakery.
with that.
Yeah.
Some people claim that he had a crush on the older girl, like the
Mm.
13 or whatever.
She was a pretty girl. I was looking at her today. She's beautiful.
So he went, why, yes, I believe you. Come and go with me to my country home. You know, one of those.
Oh, you bet. And
I
I
find
just,
it hard to believe, looking at those pictures,
yeah,
that he looked at him and thought, oh, that's real. It was very evident, I thought, that it's
I agree. I agree 1,000%. You know, but it's important because this is it. Why am I so passionate about this? Why was I passionate about the McDonald case? Because if you're a headline reader, it goes in here and it gets stored. And we can't keep doing that with the paranormal, because we still have people that are trying to tell us that ghosts don't exist, that this doesn't exist, that it's not possible for any of this magical energy, self-energy, however you want to say it, is all connected. Doesn't
People
exist.
have tried for a long time to either prove or disprove the paranormal. Cryptids, fairies, demons. I mean, and you get some of this from religion. You get some of this from past happenings. You get some
fear.
of this from fear. You get some. I mean, you take a little from all these places, and yes, like there are paranormal things. I mean, watch Slapped Ham sometimes. Some of those videos on there, they've never been explained. The people don't know where the little girl in the forest with the deer behind her came from. People don't know where the lady walking without her head down the street came from.
Right.
There are so many proven things out there that you can actually almost touch that are paranormal, that we have taken years to say, yes, paranormal things are real. And then you get something like Amityville that comes along that sets us back decades and decades, because they lie and they cheat their way to the front of the line.
And money.
Yep. We're about to have church in here, folks.
Yep. Money. Pass the hat. Free set of steak knives for the first 5. Drops a 5 in the hat. Right. That's the way it is. It's all about money. But it goes back to, again, why do you do what you do? Why do you, Steve? And we get almost offended. I mean, it hurts when we see other people taking advantage of something we care deeply about. You know, it hurts us when we see UFO and Bigfoot people fighting and trying to keep everybody compartmentalized.
I can walk right out my door and take a picture of a UFO hovering over a Bigfoot, put it on the internet.
Somebody's going to believe it.
And show it at a convention,
Hey, Photoshop. It didn't happen.
Yep. You know, pounding it back down. And like Sandy said, beautifully said, it takes us back, it sets us back. Now, that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'll spend all this time digging, trying to show you guys and fighting with, you know, you got to be fair. I don't want to take somebody else's work, you know. I mean, if they're going to throw something as great as In Search of up there and not care about it, you bet I'm going to share it with you if they'll say that's cool. But I have to also find stuff and ways to show you. So I'm trying to get a gentleman on here that did the last interview with DeFeo will tell you the same thing that Sandy and Steve said, that he's changed his story so many times. I'm not saying he didn't do it. Not even going there.
Right.
I'm saying what they did was they made all this shit up. What pisses me off, just so mad, for all the reasons Sandy just said, honest to God, you don't want to see me mad, but this gets me, because a few miles away was the Smurls. 4 houses down, more problems. Now, I've said many times, I don't know anything about the Warrens. All I know is that I've studied cases that there's some shady shit going down there. Do I fault them for saying, we're here to help, you know, and we have some abilities? I don't dispute that. But I do know and have heard and seen him on video saying, you know, you can make money at this, right? You can make money. There's nothing wrong with that, but don't add to it and don't lie, don't embellish, because we're fighting for truth.
but you have to get your facts straight. And
Yeah.
if you're going to lie, you have to
Tell the
learn how
truth.
to lie and do it right. What
Well-
they have done, what the Warrens have done, is say the house is haunted. Oh, but it's possessed.
And it's
Oh, but
demons.
haunted,
It's all
but
everything is
possessed.
demons. You know, like in The Conjuring.
Everything is demons.
It was, you know, I might get her name wrong, but I think it was something like, it wasn't Bathsheba, but whatever that, which
Yeah.
there actually was a woman that lived there,
Mhm.
and she, you know, was probably an herbalist. She probably, you know, picked some green
Yep.
beans or some sassafras or whatever the hell. None of the other stuff. I'm not saying the house wasn't haunted. I'm just saying, what are you adding? Why? Just tell the story.
Exactly.
Because we can't learn if you don't give us the facts. And
How
that's what
do-
was screwing with me, because everything in that book could happen, has happened, and probably will happen.
Houses, like homes, most homes are built from stuff that we collect from the earth: rocks, wood,
Yes.
or things that you collect from the earth to make, which means at one point in time it was living too. And every house is still, it lives beyond what it's built with. It lives
Yes.
beyond the people that have lived inside the home, and it takes from them as much as they take from it.
Energy, it absorbs everything, the feelings, the crying, the laughter, the love,
Yes.
the hatred, all of
Yeah,
it.
things, not all that energy is evil.
Yes.
Furniture does.
Todd picked up certain guitars
Yes.
that have
Yes.
a different feeling to them.
Yes.
Is it the tree that the wood is from? Is it
Yeah.
the luthier? It's
Both
both.
exist.
It's whatever that tree absorbed,
Mhm.
whatever the luthier imbued into it. But
Mhm.
I still believe there are certain musical instruments, guitars in particular, that have a magic about them. I've had them in my hands before.
So much so, I love going through antique shops, and you know, you can get that quiet, and you just run your hand over things. I remember one time, I ran my hand over. I had a quiet moment where nobody else was around, and it went over a hat, little knit hat. It was old from like the 1920s, 30s, and I could, for a flash moment, I could see her wearing the hat in a convertible, trying to hold it on, and laughing and just loving her moment, but it was a flash, and sat on rocks by the stream. And I mean, like, almost for a moment I was like a
Had
native
a flash
brave.
like that
Yeah.
with an egg beater. I
Yes,
was in an antique
yes.
shop. I was looking at some old kitchen, an old metal egg beater with a wooden handle. When I picked it up,
Love
I had
those.
this flash. There was
Yeah.
an old lady there. She was pissed. Like, what are you doing in my kitchen? Why are you touching my egg beater?
My egg beater.
I don't know. You put it down and get out of here. And I did. I put it down in another part of the antique store. I mean, it was just like that. But it just, she didn't know she was dead, I don't think, and she wondered why her stuff was in this place and why people were touching it.
I had an encounter with a hat pin in an antique.
Oh, so important. Yeah.
I went in, I saw this hat pin through the window, and I was like, oh my God, that is so pretty. I have to have it. So I went in, asked the lady, you know, how much is it? And she was like, it's $115. And so I said, okay, can I see it? And as soon as I touched it, the energy around that hat pin was like, stop it. This doesn't belong to you. Put it back.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even, I went to reach for it and stopped. And the lady was like, is there a problem? And I said, no, there's not a problem. It's beautiful, and I would love to have it, but this doesn't belong to me. And I'm not even kidding you. 3 days later, the granddaughter of the woman that owned the hat pin was walking by the same shop, saw the hat pin. It had been stolen. A police report had been made about it. She saw it and went in and told the lady, called the police, and the hat pin was returned to her that day.
How cool is that?
True story.
How cool is that? And they probably knew the whoever it was, the deceased person that owned that was protecting it, knew that, you know, the granddaughter was coming.
There were
You know what I
very
mean?
few pieces that were
yeah.
left over from her grandmother, but that was one that was very special. It was a family heirloom, and it had been passed to her by her.
Wow, Andrew, thank you.
Andrew, that's
So,
awesome, buddy.
oh,
Thanks
wow,
for
that was very
helping
generous.
Cisco out there.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
This show
Speaking
on
of
the air, keep people like
the
us.
Warrens, Okay, the museum, there was a guy on a motorcycle that came by the museum, tapped on Annabella's case, had a bad accident on the way home. Oh, man. Man alive, that's something else. See, that's it. Objects. Thank you again, Andrew. That very, 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 very much. Very, very much. I almost got my, look at that. Almost got my month for StreamYard helped out.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's awesome.
Oh,
I
people
love that.
get you.
Hey,
It's-
I'm telling you
it's-
what. We're all reeling from the gas and everything else, man. It's like $50 or something like that for 3.
I know.
You know,
Gosh,
I mean,
you
I
almost have
couldn't
to
believe it.
rob a
Yeah.
bank these days.
I can't believe it. So thank you so much in these times. That very generous, you guys, and I love you so much. And
But just the
you know.
energy around the happen,
Oh,
and
gosh,
it's like
yeah.
somebody talking in my ear saying, "Stop it! Don't touch that. It's mine. Put it, put it
But
back."
see, you listened, and if we all were tuned in and listened to that, and the whole thing that I'm talking about, what hurts my heart is we're sitting here trying to reach out. Hey, dear, welcome in, and oh, that sounds nice, doesn't it? So, the thing is this: is we're fighting so hard to get the truth out, and we research and we go back and we change. I mean, the whole reason every time somebody ribs me about how long my name is, and Steve knows the story, I laugh because I had my entire podcast. If you knew what it took just to get the picture for iTunes and stuff the right size, I mean, weeks, people, not days, weeks. Got it all together, and I did due diligence, overdid it, looking for the name. Did anybody have the name I wanted? I wanted Beyond the Gate. Couldn't find one. Dug, because I just didn't want to take somebody else's name. They obviously worked for it. They had it first. Just trying to do the right thing. Couldn't find one. Got everything loaded up, everything in, everything good. 2 days in, an old a radio station that was current from Chicago pops up, and the guy's got a show called Beyond the Gate. I changed everything. And now I had to find something that matched it. Journey Through the Gate, instead of just going beyond. And that's why, but it reminds me every time somebody kids me about it, but I had integrity. I did the right thing. I took the long way home. I took the road less traveled by, and I researched and I did because I wanted to do the right thing. And we want to tell the truth. Because like Sandy said, and yeah, it took me a long time to get back to the Journey Through the Gate chain. I still have emails with it, and I can't even stop them. My tech is not great. But anyhow, that's the whole point. We dig and dig and dig and try to get the truth. I just showed you like 25 movies and 3 more in the kitty. In 2022, they're still making money off of this murder. That bothers me. I get it, but you understand how I feel about Vasila Axe Murder House and people selling, axes on keychains and stuff. It just doesn't set right with me. Orphanages that are haunted, help the kids. That's me. You guys know me. But what pisses me off is lies and people taken advantage of. And I got taken when I was 17 and I read this book, and then the paper book came out and they changed things, and I noticed, and I'm like, what's going on? We didn't have the internet. It was harder, to
you
do
actually had to go to a library and the Dewey system. And
oh gosh.
Cisco,
But
you got to tell your library story.
Oh gosh.
let's hear it.
The glasses on the
Okay.
ticket.
Y'all want to hear my library story?
Let's hear it.
All right. Well, y'all know my mom must be thinking about it because it's like third story I've told about her in 2 days. Anyway, we moved around a lot, and my biggest thing was books. So if I couldn't get into the school to see what library, because books were your friends, right? To see what true ghost stories they had in that school, she would eventually get me. I'd go get my library card for wherever I was, and she'd take me to the library. And we were in a hurry one day. It was a brand new library. And she says, run in and just, you know what to do. And I was very good. I was fluent in Dewey Decimal System, let's just put it that way. And I kind of knew where I was going. I went and I ran right to it trying to hurry. And I'm looking, and all I'm finding was, in the occult section, that's pretty much what you had. I was looking for true ghost stories. And I couldn't narrow it down. I found one, and it wasn't so good. And I went up to the desk. and it was a little librarian, typical, stereotypical librarian. The sweater over the shoulders, the little chain to hold the sweater together, and had a chain on her glasses and these little glasses. And she sits down. I said, I'm really in a hurry. I wouldn't ask for help, because back then adults would always tell you to do it yourself so you would learn. And they were all like that then. And I said, I know I'm supposed to. Yeah, I was trying to beat her to it. And I was like, I know I'm supposed to look this up myself, but I'm over in the occult and I can't find what I'm looking for. I'm just finding these like little kid books, like the coffin fell down the stairs, took a cough drop, stupid kid stuff. I said, I'm looking for true ghost stories. I'm like 10. And she looks down her glasses, moves her glasses like this. She says, there are no true ghost stories. By God, yes, there are. I knew it then and I know it now. The thing that gets me is, I don't think everything they're telling us on this it is as it happened. Not the DeFeo part, the Lutz part. And it's starting to tick me off a little bit, because this is 40 years. It has to be 40 years. 76, what is that? Around 40? A little more? Almost 45? That's a long time for this to go on. Most of the people involved in this are gone. Ronnie Butch just died in prison just a couple years ago. And I'm trying to get the guy who last interviewed him. They also did a very lengthy, very in-depth 4-part series on some interesting stuff that they have uncovered over the years. And if I can't get him, I will dig and research, and I will play out all the evidence. I'll give you guys the evidence. And at the end, just like the McDonald case, you decide. And if you want to dig into it meanwhile, and then meet back here, please do. But I'm going to give you some stepping points. But real quick, we got to get out of here. You guys got to go. You guys are so busy. Did you guys eat yet?
Not yet.
All right. Well, you're going to get out of here in about 10 minutes. Hang on. All right. So this is what the house looked like at the time of the murders. Big Ronnie DeFeo was worked for his father-in-law at a huge Buick dealer in Brooklyn. So you see a lot of fancy cars here. This is the next night after the murders. This is almost like 24 hours after.
Deer and headlights, there have been about 10 or 12, I think, total.
Oh, yeah. There's a ton of them.
Documentaries.
Yep, there's a ton of them. This was a horrible night. We got to remember that. And the reason I'm showing you these things right here is because it's important. Why is it important? It's as important as any other thing out there that bent the truth and got a lot of people believing a lot of lies. And it's best just to learn how to dig for the truth and maybe dig a little deeper than the headlines to get at it. You know what I'm saying? But this is the house now. This is what it looks like now. You can see the windows are gone. See the windows changed? See it? So this is what it looks like now. This is currently. This is in the past 2 years. That's the front. And this is the house that is less than 10 miles from me in Toms River, where they actually shot the movie in Toms River, New Jersey, and used it for all the exterior shots. But and that still looks like this today. But that's very close to me. It's weird. This is George and Kathy Lutz right after they got married. And the reason I pulled this one up, this is right when they found the house. This is right when they were moving in. This is the fall. They moved in November, I believe. So this was the fall. Yeah, about August. Yeah, September. But look at him there. All he did was part his hair and brush it to one side. Pretty much looked exactly like he did when they're saying that he changed to look like Butch DeFeo. This is before they ever moved in. So that's just one thing I want to show you. I'm not saying anything. I'm just trying to give you facts. So there's that. And one more time to answer Deer in the Headlights. Honey, you were asking about movies made. This is the first movie. the big one. Okay, that was dropped in 1979. Okay, there's the second one, and there's all the subsequent ones after the fact. Look at this.
In my opinion, 2 should
there's a lot
have been
more.
made first. 1 should have been made second. And
Excuse
none
me,
of
I'm
the
sorry.
others should have been made.
Thank you for the bless yous. I know they're coming.
Bless
Sorry.
you.
Thank you. Sorry, guys. I tried to shut off the mic. I didn't make it. But yeah, absolutely. And the movies stink. I mean, I wanted, back when they first came out, I wanted to see them. I look forward to seeing them. I'm like, okay, this is crap. This is all made up. This wasn't in the book. I'm one of those. This wasn't in the book. That's not the way it was said it happened. They changed that. And it irks me. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you guys so much. But that's the thing. I'm not sure what's going on here, but one of the things that is really going to sling, if I can find it real quick, and I want to get you guys out of here. This lady right here. A lot of people don't know about her. She was actually, this is Geraldine DeFeo. She was actually married and had a child with Butch DeFeo. And she had 2 daughters of her own. She was married before. When they got married, they lived 90 minutes from Amityville house. And a couple of days before the murders, Big Ronnie went over and grabbed him, called his wife all kind of names while she's holding the baby, and said, "You're not spending enough time at home. I made you. I have the right to take you out. And if you don't come home, I will destroy you. There'll be no more money, no cars. I'll take the car. I'll take everything." And he left with him and went with him. So 90 miles away. So even, really huffing it on the parkway, you know what I mean? On the Jersey Turnpike. I mean, that's a far piece to be going back and forth. But if he wasn't there enough, he would come and get him. So
yeah,
he was trying to get out. Yeah.
What was it? You want to kill them? Yes. The demon talking to him, telling him that he wanted to kill his whole family.
But that was the 5th story. I mean,
Yeah.
even during the trial, the story changed.
Yeah.
So we'll go over all of that. If you guys want to look in at it ahead of time, we're going to kind of handle it like we did the McDonald case. Sandy, if you're busy, you're digging. So if you just want to follow along, we'll research for you this time. And you can just enjoy the ride. You're welcome to come along. And you too, Steve, we'll throw it in. Because like I said, I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying the Warrens didn't have abilities. I'm not saying they didn't help people. They absolutely
that's
did.
not what I'm saying either.
No, they absolutely did.
I think there are a couple of kooks.
But I've got people that worship them, and I get that. I'm not
think
trying
that they
to change your mind.
They legitimately believe that they possess some kind of connection with the other side.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, they've done a lot of help. I mean, I've
They're
watched
good at
her
capturing people's attention, capturing
Yeah.
people's imagination.
Oh yeah, it's no different, honey, than these paranormal realities.
Rest and scare yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's no different than the paranormal realities. I mean, how mad do you guys get every time you see a paranormal investigation reality show, and they walk across the floor and the boards creak, and they go, "Did you hear that? He said my name. He said my name. Demons. Demons. It's saying demons. Get out." Everybody said that get out. How many shows get out? It came from this. This is where it started. Because when the priest went through, this was in the hardcover. This was on the cover. And actually the cover said, "For God's sake, get out." In the movie and in the book, it just said get out. So that's how it got down to just get out. And ever since then, how many paranormal shows, how many things have you seen where it said, I went in and told me to get out. Now, it just seems like a little off balance, to the number of times. It doesn't seem right. Some of them got to be fake. That's all I'm saying. The law of averages.
Occasionally I like to get in the floor and meow at my cats and rub against their heads. Does that make me a cat? No.
No, it doesn't. Well, maybe sometimes. maybe in
Yeah.
another life. Maybe in another life. I swear. I must have been one because they follow me everywhere. But I think it could be the lights, Sandy. They're drawn to all our lights too. You know, I mean, it's true. It's true, you know, but and that intuition and the, I remember once this cat. I'm going to tell you this, and then we're going to get out of here because, well, this is the thing. We're going to do this. I'm going to do this. Donnie's going to help, right, Donnie? You in? And anybody else who wants to help research and send me stuff. But I'm going to try to get this guy on. He did a phenomenal job, over many years, and that's where I first heard of Geraldine. She's got a great story. She doesn't take any money. She doesn't ask for money for an interview or anything else. That's one of the reasons everybody gave her a lot of cred. That you know, listened to her, and I think it's a really phenomenal story. You know, we got to cut, you know, like I said, we got to be careful because, I mean, you know, even last night we brought in the paranormal. I'm still at this point where I've got to yield to Steve on this one with Tulpas because I think there's a lot of truth to Tulpas. I think there's a lot of truth to manifesting and a lot of truth to the constant calling of energy. If you could go in there and you constantly think you have somebody and call them something or whatever, it can actually create it. So yeah. I'm not 100% sure.
Power of the subconscious mind.
Yeah, because there's been so much on the McDonald case, and just talking about it there, I think it's possible there was a lot of that satanic stuff going on there. 44 murders like that on base. Come on, they're connected. Some of them are connected. This is common sense. So I want to do that with this one because I think people that really care about the paranormal, really care about the truth, really care about squashing some of this stuff that people keep throwing at us, like, you know, mass hypnosis and everything else, that ghosts don't exist or they're all demons, and there's so. Let's unravel this one. I think it'll be fun, and if I have to go down and just pick out pictures and we'll talk about it and give you the information and the details, and then we'll see where we're at the end. But it's a great haunted ghost story. You know, there is ghosts in the book. But haunted, you know. But gosh, just remember, a couple miles away, this was pretty much happening and happened, you know, with a lot of evidence. So we'll see where it takes us. What do you guys think? Where are you going next? What are you doing next?
We're here at the beach for a few days, then we're headed up to Olympic National Park. A lot of unexplained disappearances up there. We'll be covering that.
Living the life for Riley, living the dream.
I was here for the last 35 minutes. So that's what I'm doing next.
You go, baby. You go. Thank you guys so much for
try to find something to eat. Gonna go walk on the beach in the rain. Sandy wants to find some shells, and then we're gonna crash because we've been up since.
I don't blame you.
I've been up since like 4 o'clock.
The traveling woolberries.
Thank you, Edna. I will see you later. Thank you for having us, Cisco.
Thank you so much. Safe travels, Steve and Sandy. We love you so much, and you're doing a great job. Couldn't be more proud of you guys.
You know, just
keep the. I don't doubt it, baby. I don't doubt it. I'm just glad I get to see it. That's all. I'm so happy for you all. It's awesome. Absolutely, because something good happening. You know, it's like that's it.
I don't know if you heard me say hi to you earlier or not, but hi to you.
Get out there and do it. Hey, Ted. Thanks everybody for being so active in the chat, throwing down so much bacon and love. And we didn't even have to bake any shut the fuck up cakes tonight. And we might even be
hit that like button on the way out.
We might even be green tonight. All we did was talk about dead people and true crime, right? And demons. YouTube loves that stuff, so we might even go green tonight. I know we went yellow last night.
We love you too, Marae. Thanks for your encouragement.
Guys, don't we just have the best damn chat ever?
Jose, I have your stuff. I know. I'm terrible. I will get it sent.
Cisco, Sandy will make sure I get your stuff sent to you.
Absolutely. Let's do that. And we'll have the pendulums. You guys had them. You know what? Put some.
All of us have handled.
Yeah.
Carried with us. Cisco had them for, I don't know how long, I've had them for a couple of years.
Yeah, I made
Sandy
them.
had them in
Yeah.
her possession. So it'll have all of our energies swirled
That's
in.
fantastic. Put a little extra in there before you send it. And Sandy, you put a little some mojo on it too when you
I'll
send
put
them
some
there.
GPs
And we'll
with it.
give one away every week. Sounds great. All right, guys,
Bye,
go
bye,
eat.
guys.
We
Bye.
love you. We're out of here. Good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thanks again.
Popping back in real quick to say thank you again for all those super chats, for the love, for the bacon, for the cupcakes, for the popcorn, for the facts, for the questions, and best of all, for the wonder of it. Sharing this stuff with you guys is absolutely amazing, and playing off the ideas and the information and everything else, it's really living the dream, you know, even if we live it for 4 hours once a week, you know, it's absolutely worth it. This is the bomb, and I love each and every one of you. Good night. Keep your feet under the covers, close the door shut. Good night.